Judge Limbaugh, thanks for speaking to me today.
Yeah, it's been way too long.
Yeah.
We used to work together on a daily basis, almost an hourly basis.
Almost an hourly basis.
Yeah, for several years. That's right.
Well, I'm teaching for Dr. Keena at Ole Miss
Tell her hello.
this fall. I'll tell her hi.
She's a friend. Yep.
Just as a former juvenile judge, as you walked in back in 1987, what were your first impressions of going into juvenile court?
Well, I didn't want to do it. That's the last thing in the world that I wanted to do. I thought it was judge light. I wanted to do felonies and big civil cases, and I had no interest in that. But what happened was our then juvenile judge, Judge Muller, just was so emotionally drained by having all those cases, she couldn't do it anymore. And so she prevailed on me, and I was the junior judge at the time, so I agreed to do it. But once I got involved in it, I finally realized that that's one of the few areas of the law where you can really make a difference, instead of just being an umpire in cases or imposing sentences in criminal cases and things like that. You can really make a difference in there. And there's it's not just the dealing with the kids on a one-to-one basis and fashion and an appropriate disposition. It's juvenile court is maybe the only place in the entire judicial system where you get to see people at their best, and I'll explain that. We had adoption days, and adoptions were we set them, if you recall, on the first Friday of each month, except in December. And we'd save up all the December adoptions for the Friday before Christmas. But I'll never, ever forget one of the first times that I did an adoption. I'd not done it before, really. And I'm embarrassed that I didn't have that experience. But you have to go in and do it and learn. So at the conclusion of the ceremony, when I pronounced the judgment in favor of the parents adopting the little kid as an infant child, the guardian ad litem was there and raised her hand, "Judge, may I approach the bench?" And I immediately thought that there was a mistake, a problem, and this was one of my first ones. And so she comes up to the bench and she whispers to me, "Judge, would you mind having your picture taken with the new family?" and so I was here clad in my black robe, and so I walked down on the other side of the bench, and they put this baby in my hands, and the parents were flanking me, and the guardian ad litem took picture after picture, and it was one of the most joyous, uplifting occasions I've ever had. So juvenile court can be a happy time.
Happy time,
yeah,
too.
Yeah.
With in delinquency cases, did your approach in dispositions of the delinquency cases, do you look at those as treatment courts, or more those kids needed contained, or
well,
detained?
both? You just have to go both ways on it. You have the presumption that they should get treatment, and that's fine, and it works on a good number of cases, but you just have to strike the right balance, and intensive supervision is a key, because if you can pull them away from that family environment, which is invariably the problem, then you can do some good with them.
Parents and the kids fight back, though.
Yeah, that's right. But I worked quite a bit with the advisory group for the Division of Youth Services, and the Missouri program, as you know, is one of the best in the nation. They had a prototype to get kids not institutionalized so much, but instead into more like a daycare system, and it's been very successful. Even here in Cape Girardeau, it's been very successful. And you've been involved with that too, I know.
Yes, I was on that board too.
Yeah.
When you were with the Missouri Supreme Court bench, mm-hmm. and hearing juvenile cases, hearing the final appeals, any of those that were memorable, or that you thought, are the juvenile courts getting it right, or are they repeating these mistakes? What would you see with that?
More of my involvement was not with the cases themselves, because very few cases would go past the Court of Appeals. They were all disposed of in that way. But on the administrative side, the Supreme Court acts like a sort of 7-person board of directors over the entire judicial branch of government. And in that capacity, we formulate rules of procedure and take other administrative actions for the betterment of the court system at large. And so, for instance, right after I got on the court, I was appointed chair of one of the committees that was going to devise new rules to address guardians ad litem in family court cases and in juvenile court cases. Mm-hmm. And so we formulated new rules of procedure for when guardians ad litem should be involved and the extent to which they should be involved. That was especially in light of the CASA movement, the Court-Appointed Special Advocates movement, which was just getting going in the early 90s, as you know. And so we formulated rules to address those concerns, and then over the years there have been various standing committees and special committees to address juvenile justice reforms, everything from concerns about racial profiling to concerns about just how long kids should be adjudicated in the criminal justice system versus the adult criminal justice system versus any other alternatives that might be available. So,
well, and I was on the forms subcommittee that when the forms were rolled through your office too to be approved.
Right.
All the forms when they standardized them.
Yeah. So that's what I say. Most of my involvement on the Supreme Court level was in that administrative capacity.
Usually didn't get higher than the appeals on the
on the Court of Appeals. Yeah.
Any abuse neglect cases that were memorable to you that you remember?
Oh, sure. And the one that I spoke about in my address to the legislature is one of the most memorable. That was your case too, of course. And I'll give you a copy of that.
Please.
And I think I have the video of it.
Yeah, I have the text, but I'd love to have the video.
Yeah.
So.
This was the woman who had 5 kids by 5 different fathers before she was 18 years old, and we didn't know what the heck to do with her. I mean, there's no answer. And so you and your crew persevered, and it was just a big gamble. It's as simple as that. It was a big gamble. But I called you about 7 or 8 years later, and you gave me this wonderful story about how this woman, she has recovered from her troubles. All the kids, all 5 kids were thriving. She's got a full-time job with a sheriff's department over in Illinois, and I couldn't believe what you were telling me.
It was,
but we rejoiced about
it was, and it was a family that we didn't see and that I still don't see. I still don't see her children. I've been there long enough now. I would see their children, but haven't. So that was a good one.
Yeah, that's an amazing success story. How can that be? And yet we have the good things, and of course there's lots on the other side too.
Well, as Judge Grimm used to say, it was D- families at times, and if they were D-, you didn't remove the children. Yeah. And that really always set in my heart as something to work toward. Try to work with the families as much as you could.
You have these conceptually difficult, competing interests, competing rules of law. One is reunification of the family, that presumption. The other is the presumption for the best interest of the child, and that's hard to reconcile a lot.
Yeah.
So,
one last question. The course is juvenile justice and politics.
Yeah.
And I don't know who threw on the last term on there, and politics, but do you see those terms congruent, or?
I think it's important because I had that idea come up for the entire 16 years that I was on the Missouri Supreme Court, because there would be some tragic death in the juvenile court system, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, all of the legislators would want immediate action, and without any kind of firm understanding of what the system is about at all. And so I think our response was to educate them to the best of our ability so that they'd know just how difficult these cases are, and that that everybody in the system is working diligently and competently to make sure that we don't have tragedies like that occur. And so I think our educational efforts were successful. And really, for about 10 or 12 years, we haven't had any kind of, to my recollection, any kind of a major scandal or major concern in the legislature. Maybe we got it right now.
Oh, I'll take that opportunity to
Yeah.
knock right here.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Randy. I'm
Appreciate
so
it.
pleased to see you again, and congratulations on your next steps.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
Let me see if I